On this episode of the Simply Brilliant Show, I'm coming to you from sunny South Beach, Miami, where I'm attending the annual LCT Leadership Summit. Basically what this is a annual meeting of the top industry performers in the ground transportation space, and they've come from all over the country to gather here for some education, some think tank type environment, and really want to share with you sort of my thoughts. This is my first time attending it. I've met some incredible people. We focused before on the importance of relationships, and so that's one of the elements here. But really, as we talked in a previous episode, the entire industry is under siege by these on-demand networks, whether it's Uber or Lyft or Get. And so the industry is coming together to sort of formulate a response and think about what to do. And I would say that the overwhelming consensus is that it's here to stay, which is no surprise, but more importantly that there's opportunity for the on-demand services to coexist with, say, upscale luxury service providers. And the people that are here, the organizations and the entrepreneurs and the small business owners that are here, tend to be the more innovative and thoughtful people. There's still a whole smaller subset of people that are sort of head in the sand and saying that my customers would never use on-demand service and you're crazy if you would use it. The reality is, I think everybody acknowledges that that's, maybe that was very 2013, 2014, but here in 2016, as we prepare for 2017 and the future, we have to figure out how we coexist and what value we add. And so had a lot of really interesting conversations. Some of the bigger more prominent names have even made startling statements and caused a lot of controversy here, saying that the entire industry as we know it today won't exist in 3 to 5 years. And I think that that's very true. It will exist. Certainly ground transportation is necessary, but the way that we facilitate, the way that we access, the way that we communicate, all of that is under siege and being changed rapidly. So what I want to focus on in this Simply Brilliant episode is that some of the best opportunities as an investor, and this goes back to my hedge fund days, or as an entrepreneur and a small business owner, come during periods of dislocation, disruption, uncertainty, chaos. What you often see is that these smaller players fold. They can't adapt, they're not innovative enough, and what that does is it creates a lot of opportunity. And so there's an entire investment thesis which is called distressed investing, which is buying companies that are in terrible industries or that are mismanaged, and then you turn them around. And so we've always invested, when I was at the hedge fund, opportunistically in the right market segments at the right time, and so distressed investing often did well. And I launched this company, Brilliant Transportation, in late 2009, early 2010 is when we went live, which was in the middle of the blow up and collapse of the financial markets. So I'm a huge believer that when there are periods of uncertainty and dislocation, if you are intelligent and hardworking and creative and innovative and willing to take risk, you can find tremendous opportunities and you come out the other end much stronger. And I think we're living through that right now. So there's a lot of discussion here about sort of the industry as a whole coming together, which I think is great. I think that the era of protectionism and everything being closed and walled off and this is my business and this is my client and we do things my way has certainly ended. We can take a page out of the cloud services business like Salesforce.com, for instance, or Apple or any of these other companies that have created an environment where developers come and build on top of a common platform, and instead of Salesforce saying, I don't want this add-on or this module, or you have to I have to develop that software. They encourage it openly, like everyone come build on this platform. And what they recognize is that what that does is it entrenches Salesforce in the end user's life and business, and it becomes all the more important. So if 20 developers create some add-on on top of it, they believe that the best of that module will exist right? And there'll be many different modules that exist that work well, and then as a result, all these different industries can work and thrive on Salesforce. And so I think the opportunity for the ground transportation space, largely speaking, is to start to think a little bit more like 2016 and the future, and think how we can band together, how we can work together. I think that there's a tremendous opportunity, and we'll be discussing more of this over time. And you'll start to see some announcements about the way that we're starting to think and innovate, and some product offerings and some service offerings. But realistically, I think the time has never been better to be in this space, which sounds really crazy given all of the revenue shortfalls and the pressure on margins and the commoditization of the business. Commoditization of this business is fantastic for those that offer things that are not a commodity, such as service or hospitality or specialty vehicles. You just have to be really creative and understand how you play in this new paradigm shift in the new landscape. And you need to make sure that you communicate your value-added proposition, that you're speaking to the right people. You can't send your message, broad spread if it's a niche application. But if you can figure out what you do and who you service and how you service them and communicate that value-added proposition, the time has never been better, because like in anything else, what you want to spend a lot of time and energy on is what you do best, and with the people that value that and charge a fair price, and you'll get very loyal customers. So here from Miami, I would say that while the news is sort of mixed and there's a lot of uncertainty in the air, I think there's a handful or more of super innovative leaders that are here and thinking creatively, and we see tremendous opportunities. And I think that this lesson applies to life broadly. It has nothing to do with ground transportation. Everything we know is changing, right? And you need to be able to adapt and reinvent yourself and think about the opportunities. And so for the longest time, for instance, one of the conversations here was that these on-demand services are just like on-demand only. And coming from New York City, I can tell you that Get, for instance, has allowed you to book up to 24 hours in advance. Well, I was watching CNBC this morning, as I always do, and wouldn't you know it, across the ticker says, Lyft experimenting with 24-hour advance notices, which is something that the limo industry has been hanging their hat on, like, oh, well, you can't book ahead. Well, guess what? Lyft is now doing up to 24 hours ahead. My guess is it's not long until Uber does it. And, as far as I can tell, from a coding and user perspective, the ability to do 24-hour advance reservation probably isn't that challenging to make it 48-hour or 72 hours. So things are changing, and they're changing quickly and every single day. And one of the reasons I'm down here at the Leadership Summit is to build relationships, to bounce my ideas, innovative, creative ideas off of people in the industry that I would like to join me in unison and collaboration in a spirit of abundance as opposed to protectionism, and talk transparently about hey guys, here's some really interesting things we could do. How do we do it? Are you on board? Do you think that your clients would like this? And so far, I'm really, really encouraged. And so I'm very happy that I came down here. Of course, it's beautiful. Can't complain about the location. Anyway, been on the road an awful lot. Excited to get back home to my wife and family later today. And I think the next episode will be filmed in New York City.